Today I want to talk to you about a serious topic, what I'm calling sort of the antitrust case in the marketing world that no one is really discussing, but I think we need to pay attention to before it's too late. Now, we're not talking about Google or Meta showing up in court being challenged for antitrust situations. We're not talking about Microsoft or Apple saying they've got too much market share. What I'm talking about is what I believe is the antitrust that's happening between consumers and us the business owners, us the marketers, us the copywriters. We're creating this situation where, look, it's not a secret. Here's what happens. People use YouTube, people use TikTok, people use Instagram, people use Facebook, whatever they're using, and they complain about the ads, right? We've all met this. We've all been out for a beer, coffee, family gathering, whatever. People saying the ads on that is just crazy. Look at the searches for ad blockers that people have, right? Now, this is because, we write a sensational ad, we put it on a particular platform, maybe we put it on YouTube, maybe we put it on Meta, and the consumer that's using that platform associates our ad that might be really sensational with that platform. So like, oh, YouTube and their freaking ads. They don't say, oh, that copywriter that came up with that really over-sensationalized hook that over-promised and under-delivered. They don't think that. They just see YouTube or Facebook or TikTok and they're pissed at them, right? So as a sidebar, if you're experiencing a lot of policy issues, inaccurate claims, exaggerated claims, clickbait, different policies, especially on Google right now, but almost anywhere, this is what's happening. The platforms are protecting their most valuable asset, which is their users. They're stopping the marketers from saying things that will piss the users off, that will push them away from the platform. And we should be interested in this, because if we push the people away from the platform, we don't have a place to run ads, right? So we should be interested in this. So what's my point about this antitrust concept? Well, we're eroding the trust in consumers' minds because the ads we've been making for the last half a dozen years have been so over the top. Who the hell's going to believe them, right? I reflect back on this ad that happened a few years ago, and it was an acquaintance of mine, and here was the ad. It was in the life insurance space. It opened on someone at an ATM holding some cash, point of view, looking down at the ATM, holding some cash and showing on the screen, I'm picking a number, 137,000 pounds on the screen. This was a UK ad. And then the person in the ad, the narrator's like, I just got my family life benefit payout today. And we're set. Things are going to be so much easier for us, right? And as an aside to this, at no point does anyone say this person, who in the ad was a male, but could be a woman too, that person's wife, partner, whatever, had to die in order for that money to come out. So we probably wouldn't be as excited to get the 100K or whatever he got, right? But I digress. Then it moves on to talk about, just tap the link underneath this video, see if you can get this, you see if you can qualify for up to this, your family life cover benefit, blah, 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 right? Ad just crushed it for the client, that his client was buying the leads. But would you want to be in that phone room calling that lead back that thinks they're going to get a $100,000 check rather than the opposite of this, like, well, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, if you pee in a cup, take this blood test, and give me your whole medical history for the last 2 decades, then maybe you can qualify to pay me $42.63 a month for $500,000 in coverage that you'll get when you die, right? Not criticizing life insurance. Life insurance, I carry life insurance. I've been in that industry for 10 years working with clients along with other financial industries. I think it's a good product. It's the marketing of it that's starting to make me feel icky, okay? So what's my point here, right? My point is, I believe we're seeing a shift. And I think we have to make this shift. Whether we're forced into it or not, I think that the smart businesses will make this shift. They will move away from an ad-centric, sensational hook, make things happen, to a content-led, self-selecting type process. Now let me explain to you. This is why I'm sitting in front of my whiteboard today, because I want to draw a little bit. So our traditional way that we do things is we're like, ad, and we force it in front of people, right? To take action. And some of them do. Some of them take the action, right? But oftentimes they're let down when they get on the phone, receive the product or whatever, and realize that the ad overpromised, which it had to do because CPMs are high, cost per access to people is high, the CTR, the click-through rate has to get up, so our clicks are cheaper, and our landing page has this amazing headline so people will buy or submit. We have to do all this to make the metrics work, right? And I know some of you might be just saying like, well, yeah, that's what it is, Ian. That's how it has to happen now. Okay, maybe, but it's not self-sustainable. It's going to explode because we're going to have to start saying things that the platforms just won't let us say. So why don't we get ahead of this now? So what am I suggesting? I'm suggesting that instead, I'm going to draw another. Instead, what if we were to create multiple little pieces of content, right, that are value-led first, right, that talk about the common problems people have with your product or service, or the pain or issue they're feeling now that your service can solve, and help them. Like, let's talk to them. Let's be like, one of the industries we work in sometimes is motivated sellers, distressed homeowners in the States. And it's kind of like, have you gotten that letter on back taxes? Look, you think the bank owns your home, but actually the county has last say. Because if you don't pay your taxes, they can take your house. This is a reality. So here's what you need to do. You got to pay them. Try and figure out however you can do it. If you can't, maybe looking at getting out of the house so you can save the equity you've got is the right answer. Maybe it's not, right? But you want to do something about this before it's too late, right? Now, that is a sort of direct response type scare tactic piece of content, but it's reality. If people are getting letters from the county you live in about back taxes and you haven't paid your taxes for 2 or 3 years for the land that your house sits on, then they can take your house and they will auction it, and you will have none of the equity you've got. And a better option might be to sell your house fast to an investor for maybe less than you'd get for putting it on the market, but you'll pay that taxes, keep whatever equity you've got, and yeah, you're in a hard place, but not as bad as being homeless and no equity, right? Obviously, this comes off in a whole lot of other ways. This could be for anything, back pain. This could be for, car insurance. This could be for, roofing or plumbing or solar or whatever, right? So, but let's say we've got all these little pieces, and we're not hard selling them. But we do boost these, right? By boost, maybe we put a few bucks behind them each day. Maybe we put $1 to $5, depending on where you're at, right? Behind each one of these posts, and we pump them out on wherever, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, right? Instagram. And there's a call to action that they can take action on it, but we're not like, do it now, see if you qualify, you'll get, look at your bank screen, blah, 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 right? The people that choose to watch these are self-selecting. If you choose to watch a 46-second short-form piece of content about tax bills or late tax fees you're getting, you probably have a problem or you're really bored, right? Now, here's what we can do that people aren't really talking about anymore, but it used to be the way we did all this stuff. Now, on all these platforms, what you do is you go into your TikTok ad platform, you go into wherever, and you build a retargeting audience, right? You say, who's watched 50% of any one of these videos? If you watch 50% of any of these videos that are talking about problems for real estate wholesalers, you watch 50% of any of these videos that talk about back pain or car insurance or why your roof that's leaking is a problem or why your big toe fungus needs to be solved, whatever the heck your problem is, you probably are in that market that you need a solution. So here, now you can show them an ad with a call to action to go to whatever, a quiz or buy something, right? Don't know if you can still see that. I'm looking over at my screen. It looks like you can. Apologies, there's some light shining on my whiteboard here. But you can do that then, right? But when we try and force feed, here's what has to happen. We start here without any of this, right? That's what this ad is here, right? This ad is starting with trying to get calling out the pain, exaggerating the pain, over-promising on the solution and the relief we can give them, forcing them and saying, do this now. And they're like, right? And like half the population just like stuck, needing to follow someone, so they're just not quite sure what to do, so they just go along with it, only to be frustrated and pissed off later. Of course we're not seeing good results on these ads in 2025 and next year going into 2026. This is why we can do 100 leads in some instances and have like a 1% to 2% conversion on those leads, which is crappy, right? Wouldn't you rather have less leads that cost you more, that convert 10, 20 times better maybe, than the smaller pot of leads or results, right? Same thing goes for e-commerce, right? You don't want crappy reviews on your products. You don't want returns, right? Or info marketing or anything like this. So what I'm proposing here is that we need to think about the trust that we're building with consumers, the trust that we're building with those people that are really what allow us to exist, consumers, right? If you're a direct-to-consumer brand, be it service-based, product-based, info-based, whatever, I highly recommend you start thinking about how this can look. It's going to throw off your metrics at first, right? It's going to throw off your cost per lead, your cost per acquisition. But if you hold on for 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, I think you will be surprised that, oh my gosh, my CPA, my cost per lead, my cost per sale is higher, but my complaints are down, my reviews are up, my conversion rates are up, things look better, right? I'm not having to spend maybe as much, right? I'm building a catalog of content that I can use, that if you post this correctly, oh, PS, don't just do these as ads, put these organic. Okay, I'll talk about this in another video, but put these on your YouTube channel, put these on your TikTok profile, put these on your Instagram, put these on your Facebook page, right? Don't just let them live in an unlisted fashion hidden. These should be things that you can put out and aren't ashamed of, that will live on your page, right? Or your profile. Because if we can't put it publicly and we want to hide it because it seems like, oh, it's too sensational, we don't want to get caught, that should maybe be a flag for us, right? That we're not doing the right thing. Now, take from this what you will. If you're shaking your head right now, okay, that's for you. I'm going to do my thing, you do your thing, and we'll see where we land in 12 months and who's ahead. But I would highly recommend that moving forward, this is the ticket to avoid policy issues, account shutdowns, crappy consumer sentiment, right? This is where we're heading. So I got more content coming like this. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel so you get it. You got a question you want answered, or you're curious about more about what I'm talking about here, leave a comment below, all right? Thanks, we'll see you in the next video.